Hola, amigas, and welcome to our live. I'm sorry we're starting a little later than I thought, but welcome in. If y'all are new, I'm Andrea Diaz, your host of the Latina Leadership Podcast, and the title for this is "Confidence in a New Era" because we just released episode 2 legit yesterday, and it's super exciting too because that's where you really see where this format of stories really comes in. We included 3 of our listeners' stories, and we hope you all really enjoyed how I formulated it in there. But yeah, like some of just as a future preface here. In terms of the stories, depending on the length, we can include a lot of them or just one, depending on the length and how it connects to that episode theme. So just for y'all to keep in mind. And also, we are still accepting stories all throughout season 12. Guys, hey, we're accepting them. So if you get motivated or you're like, oh, my story could be included in an episode, feel free to send us a DM or send us an email at info@latinaleadershippodcast.com. I'm usually the one reading stories, so I'm always happy to look at your stories and see how I can fit them in episode themes. So feel free to send it in written down. It could be audio, it could be video, whatever format you feel represents your story best. Feel free to send it our way, and we'll integrate it into an episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. So please, 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 if you haven't so already, find out motivation. Hey, sit down, write little words, audio record, you name it, and we'll include it. We'll try and include it into the podcast. But let's talk about the theme of this week's episode, which was confidence in the new era, which we are building in a new era of confidence. Of where I feel like one of the words that I described a lot in the episode, that confidence doesn't have to be loud. I feel like we underestimate that power of quiet confidence. Things you see, when you grow up. At least for me personally, I mentioned in the episode too, I saw my parents, even they were struggling financially, they put up that confidence, like, no, we're gonna make ends meet. We're gonna make things happen. We're gonna make sure that you're set. And it's that quiet confidence that they carried, which it wasn't loud or anything, but it was like the quiet confidence that kind of pushed me to realize, like, okay, like confidence could be demonstrated in multiple different ways. And you heard that through our multiple audience members' stories too, who represented confidence in different ways within their career, within their own journey. I'm not gonna tease too much about their journeys here because come on, guys, y'all gonna have to go watch the episode to hear their stories. Um, but more or less, I wanted to be a bit of reflection over episode 2 and kind of more in line of what is upcoming into LLP, the Leadership Podcast, and what you may be seeing in future episodes as well. As you saw, we also posted the question about confidence. How do you build confidence within, our stories last week to hear y'all's responses? It's going to be similar this week. I haven't done so yet, but next week's episode, as a teaser, if you haven't watched episode 2 yet, but at like I mentioned that next week's episode is going to be Latinas in the future of work, and it's mostly talking about technology and how our workspaces are evolving, how the changes with AI and new technology and automation, and how it's affecting us in the workplace. So keep an eye out for our stories this week, as I'll be asking that question of how are you impacted by technology in the workplace, or how do you feel about AI? Just to hear your thoughts, because that's going to be an important topic for the next episode. So I'm interested. This is a topic that's also interested me too, because obviously, working with technology a lot, even podcasting and doing research a lot, you do come across AI, and maybe like I've used AIs too. Like I'm seeing like a long academic journal. I use it to try to simp out information that I need for what I'm looking for, right? So next week's episode is going to be I feel like it's going to be an interesting topic for y'all. And I try to look it into a cultural lens as well. So hopefully y'all enjoy next week's episode. But going back, because I always go off theme, guys, I swear. Um, Going back to confidence, I'm so glad that we did an episode about it. I'm one of those people, I will always talk about confidence no matter what. Putting myself out of like, uncomfortable, putting myself, out there and stuff, and just doing stuff that I feel like, okay, if I do this, I might not be the most comfortable here, but I feel like I'm going to grow a lot from it. Kenny Estes just said, I think AI is going to be the new skill we have to study in 2026. Yes, that's why I was like, okay, I need to make an episode to touch upon this. Especially, in our community, it's not talked about a lot. So that's one thing I was like thinking about. And I was like, okay, no, we have to do an episode about it. And I do like talking about AI because a lot of times our community is like, we are not taught exactly how to use it or how to understand what its uses are. And it's kind of sad how we're going into this, this reality of like we're scared that AI, and for some of us, might take our jobs because sometimes our jobs are or can be replaced with technology or automation too. And just finding how to utilize AI as not as like the be all do all, but as a tool in us being the conductors and being able to gear it to what we need, right? And a lot of things I always tell people, if you're interested in AI, look into prompting and how to prompt it correctly. Because remember, you have human skills that AI can never take away from you. And we're going to go more into that. I'm not going to teach so much, and we're going to go more into that for next week's episode. So if you're interested in AI and that topic and how it can relate to real life, and including an audience member story while not totally related to AI, her whole life story really shows the human nature, what cannot be replaced by AI. So look forward to next week's episode. I'm really excited about that one. That's one I've been wanting to do, and it's such a difficult, not difficult, topic to cover, but it's more on the conceptual of like, how do I look it into a cultural lens where it makes sense for our audience to grasp more than, oh, I'm just educating you how to use AI, right? So that's kind of more or less next week's episode. So look forward to that. I also have exciting news about Las Patronas. I don't know if y'all saw the teaser on socials. We were promoting Angelica, Marianne, and Monica's project, and them being the untucked themselves, the Tres Amigas. I've been in behind the scenes of some of the recordings, so I'm super excited for y'all to hear their amazing conversations. And if you're part of this live, you'll hear the little teaser. Their first episode is going to come out tomorrow, so keep an eye out. I'm super excited for this project, especially. I feel like, leaning into their authenticity and hearing these raw stories of friendship too. Especially when they're older. When you're older, sometimes friendships can be harder to build, right? Or like harder to bring those long lasting relationships. So hearing from their authentic experiences of them traveling and discovering themselves is it's such a great like way to look at friendships a different way, right? And learn from somebody else's experience. So I'm super excited with how that's turning out. So keep an eye out for the episode releasing tomorrow. If you're interested in knowing more, look at our teaser. We posted it on Monday, so look at our social posts about that. Also, be sure to check out Angelica, Monica's, and Marianne's social media. It's also on that post. They're also collaborators on that post. So be sure to check them out on their own socials to see what their journeys have been. So I highly recommend looking at the episode, experimenting like outside of being this part of us, the Latino Leadership Podcast, but also looking at what they're able to provide in terms of episodes and learning experiences. I feel like it's going to be such a nice contrast too, because they're just raw, authentic conversations between friends, and I love that. So it's been something we've been wanting to come to fruition for a while. So I'm glad that is coming soon, like very soon. um, but yes, going back, going back, going back, going back to confidence. One thing I really reflected a lot in at least the creation of like the second episode was just how confidence can be interpreted very, very well different ways. And I do like that when we did like the stories and we asked y'all like, how do you build confidence? A lot of us were kind of on the same page where you have to put yourself put yourself out there. Being comfortable in the uncomfortable was one of my favorite replies for that story, because that's such a true statement. I'm not gonna lie, guys, it's such a true statement. And then also in terms of affirmations, a lot of confidence. I always tell people, when you're building out confidence for the first time, because it's not easy. Building out confidence is not easy. But I always tell people, like, I usually go to when you wake up and you're washing your face and you're doing your whole routine, give yourself affirmations. Today is going to be a good day. I'm going to utilize my voice to its fullest potential. I am strong. I am powerful. I am passionate about what I'm doing. And start affirmations, because you building confidence starts with yourself, right? And I feel like that's the biggest takeaway, at least for me, in terms of confidence, is building out with yourself, building trust with yourself, and having the understanding that, hey, that confidence is gonna take me, me to put myself out there and work for it, right? And even if we're in different fields, even like let's say we've gone through something so difficult and hard in our lives, take that as the motivation. Hey, I'm still here. I'm still working for it. I'm working hard to keep being successful. Take that as confidence, especially especially in fields. A lot of people are in fields that they're probably either the only minority, only woman in there. Be confident. Know that you're strong, that you're even there. Make sure that you extend the doors for everybody else, and that when you show confidence, other people build confidence off that. I think those were like some of the main messages from that second episode that I really like appreciated. I'm glad that the audience had the same thoughts about with me about confidence. So really appreciate that. And just building this confidence in a new area is not I'm gonna shout it out loud and just gonna let everybody know, but it's also taking a moment of consideration and reflection on those quiet moments of confidence. Not everybody has a loud form of confidence. There's that's slow, not slow, but like more lower mature version of confidence that you feel sometimes in a room where somebody doesn't have to state it out loud, but you can feel it when they state what they need, when they're asking questions, is that quiet confidence that I always tell people, like, hey, like if you're shy or you're introvert, your confidence doesn't have to be super loud like an extrovert or ambiverts. Like you can have your own quiet level of confidence. So there's that. But I'm extremely happy with how episode 2 turned out. It's exciting to see how I can integrate your stories into this new format that we're building out. I'm excited if y'all are barely entering the live and are looking forward to what the next episode is. If you haven't seen episode 2, our next episode is going to be about the future of work, Latinos and the future of work, and that involves AI, technology, and all that jazz, right? And it's me kind of building finding like an amazing audience member story. It's gonna be one because it's pretty long, but it's also gonna integrate how how we are human and how AI can't really replace us, and just looking at the advancements of technology and AI from a like a cultural lens. So that's an episode I've been wanting to do for a while, but I'm excited to finally do it. Even especially with it, what audience member story is pretty exciting. So look forward to that. I'm super excited for that to release next week. Like guys, super excited. But yes, um, another extra reminder again, guys, that we are accepting stories all throughout season 12. All throughout season 12, we are accepting stories. So if you haven't submitted your story yet, send us a DM. Send us an email at info@latinaleadershippodcast.com. I'll be the ones reading the stories. But like, feel free to send us. It could be written. It could be to like it could be text, audio, video, you name it. However you feel your story's the best being told, feel free to do so. It's always so exciting to hear people's like different career paths or things, experiences, and know that your stories don't have to be super specific. Um, in terms of like, oh, I need them to be exactly this length and like this format. No, I want you to like give me your story as raw as possible. Obviously, if it's kind of lengthy, it kind of helps me out because it gives us a lot more to comment on and how to integrate it in the episode, obviously. But I've been really enjoying reading your stories. Everybody who submitted so far, thank you so much. Because it's hard to put yourself out there, write down your story. Because sometimes you get into reflective mode, right? You're just like, oh my god, like I've gone through so much. Like now that I'm like actually like writing it down. But yes, highly recommend if you haven't done so already, please do so. Well, I swear I'm trying my best to integrate it into season 12, y'all. So, but yeah, but yes, I feel like we covered most of it. But yes, look forward to what we have upcoming in LLP. We have so many things that we're working on in terms of season 12, and also Las Patronas. And obviously getting y'all to share your stories. But yes, I'm super excited to see what the rest of season 12 holds. Honestly, I'll be hosting lives as much as I can every week. So if you're looking, you're asking questions like, "Hey, like, what's next week's episode about?" Or what's anything upcoming that we might look at? You know, or just any questions about the format or things you want to see on the like the episodes, just let us know. Feel free to join these lives, ask your questions, as well as like, hey, if you're a little shy, you don't want your comment on the live, send us a DM, send us an email. I always appreciate feedback, especially knowing like what the community wants to hear. Because obviously, for next episode, that's kind of AI was like something I noticed during like, or if you attended the Latino Entrepreneurship Conference, I knew that was a really popular topic that our community is really interested in learning more about. So I was like, okay, like this needs to for sure be a topic for at least this season. I feel like it did really well. In terms of like the conference, so like I feel like we need to expand a bit more, and it needs to be like on the podcast. So that's kind of where I went in terms of that line. So a lot of like the topics I kind of see like, okay, they were like, at the conference, I could tell like certain topics we're doing like people were more interested in. So it's also based off that. But obviously, if you have any feedback for me, or you're like, hey, I really need to see you cover like this topic in a future episode, let me know, because I'm always looking to see what the community's like looking like it feels it needs. And obviously, if you have a story, you're like, hey, I feel like my story could really work really well for like this topic. Um, send us a DM, email us at Info Latina Leadership Podcast. Like I know one I'm working on in the future, like future topic that I've been itching to scratch here is about politics and how politics works, and like how do you, if you're just in politics, how do you get there, or like how does the government work, stuff like that. I feel like we need to show more in our community and show like how do you get there. And hopefully, like, I'm trying to get a story from people who've done politics, or or holding office or running for office, just because it's really interesting to see that process. It's different for everybody, especially, we're trying to get more Latinos to run in terms of running for office. So I feel like it's going to be an interesting topic to hopefully cover in a future episode. But this is me ranting right here. But thank you so much for everybody who joined this live. I know it's a bit short, but I kind of I kind of sped run. So for those who are watching this last, we basically went over the episode 2, confidence in the new era. We went over what the next episode is going to be like, Latinas in the future work, and we also went over Las Patronas. Their episode's releasing tomorrow. I'm so excited for that project, and any future feedback, and making sure that y'all know to share your stories. We're gonna submit all through season 12. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, at least for this short live. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week. All right. Bye, y'all. Take care. Bye, amigas.